Today is August 31st. Today's quote is entitled, "Compete with yourself." We don't have to be like others or compete with others. Our business is not to get ahead of others, but to get ahead of ourselves. So, we're our own competition. We are our own enemy. It's not that we're in a sense, it's not like we're going out to conquer the world. We're actually going out to conquer ourselves. And conquering ourselves is the real victory. It's the first victory. Yudhishthira Maharaj said, unless you can conquer yourself or can control your senses, how will you conquer Krishna? But you could say, how will you conquer anything if you can't conquer yourself? So what we're really trying to do in our devotional service is not so much compare ourselves to others, although sometimes that can be beneficial and sometimes it can be detrimental because it can discourage us if we compare ourselves to someone who's really so much better than we are and we just become heartless. But it's better to compare ourselves or to compete with ourselves. So maybe I can do a little better. This year I can do a little better than last year. Or this month I can do a little better than last month. What am I competing with? I'm competing with my standards of what I was able to do or the standards I set for myself last month or the month before. Can I do better this month? That's where the competition is. And the real challenge is just dealing with all the resistances we have to moving forward, both in our material and spiritual life. Because there's so many things we could be doing better, but we tend to resist because it's difficult, it doesn't feel good, we fear that we'll fail, and some people even fear that they'll succeed and then they'll have to deal with success and all the responsibility that comes with that. But in any effort to achieve anything, there's always a resistance, and a lot of times the resistance can simply be a fear that I can't outdo what I've already done, that I've done enough, I've done the best I can. You know, in the early days of our movement, we would report to Srila Prabhupada our book scores, and as you probably know, when we'd send in these scores, we were very proud, and we'd think, wow, we've done so well. We've never done this well before. We've outdone ourselves. And then Prabhupada would reply, then I'm very happy, and now please double it. And we would think, that's impossible. How could we double it? We already stretched ourselves to the limit. But Prabhupada was always pushing that, don't think that you've hit the limit. You should understand you can always do better. So double it. What are you doubling? You're doubling what you did. You're competing with yourself. The enemy is not out there. The enemy is not all the people that don't want books. The enemy is my own internal limitation that I don't think all these people will take books. There's a story, a devotee was complaining to Prabhupada that in a certain part of the world it was very difficult to preach. It was actually in Bengal. He said the people aren't interested. And so Prabhupada said, the people aren't interested or you can't make them interested. So a lot of times we blame the situation on an external, on the environment or people. And Prabhupada's saying, no, look at yourself. Compete with yourself. It's not the fault of the people. The people are not the enemy, or the circumstances not the enemy. The enemy is you, and you're feeling that you can't do it, putting limitations on yourself, thinking that, or allowing yourself to be subdued or to lose your enthusiasm because of some stumbling block or some obstacle that you're facing that you feel is too big to conquer. So that feeling that it's too big to conquer, or that feeling I just can't do it, that's the enemy. So that's what we're dealing with. All the resistance that we have to move forward in any area, that's the real enemy. That's the real thing we have to deal with. And generally what we resist are the most important things that we need to be dealing with. So when you look at the darkest parts of yourself, the parts you don't want to touch, it's actually the parts that we need to touch the most, because that's where the most change will come. The things we're most resistant to change are the things that are holding us down the most. So the most change comes when we pursue what we resist the most.